Soleka Mandela. Thank you. We may start with the national anthem, with the singing of the national anthem. We are to start with the singing of the national anthem. I'm sure the guys are just busy, but we are starting with the national anthem. South Africa. We are now starting our program. We'll start our program with a prayer. We'll ask omama basiculele nje iculo lokuvula umthandazo as we call upon the Reverend to come and open for us with prayer.
We find a scripture reading from the book of Judges. The chapter is chapter 4. We will only read and reflect in one verse, which is verse number 4. And it reads as follows. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lepadoth, was judging Israelites at the time. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. May I say, all protocol observed, so that I don't left some dignitaries that are here. Today marks a history in our country that we pause a moment and remember and reflect on the life of one of our own, Mama Winnie Mandela. And as I was preparing, thought of the women in the Bible. And Deborah was one of the bravest women that God had raised in the history of the Jewish people. And when I reflect at her life, I couldn't but see Mama's life. Now, the book of Judges is known of the fact that God would raise a judge at a particular time, because people would be in trouble and God would raise a judge. And after deliverance and the passing of that judge, the people will forget about God and derail, and they get into trouble. Again, God will raise a judge. And so in chapter 4, we read about the leadership of Deborah. We are told that just like Mama, Deborah was a prophetess, or should I say, a prayerful woman, just like Mama Mandela. And we are told that Deborah was also a wife, just like Mama Winnie, whom through the struggle, she was taken to confinement for some time. And so perhaps we can say she was a wife and a mother at the time when we were, or there was hardship in South Africa. It is a picture that I have that this mother would, when she is about to take care of her family, she would hear someone screaming outside and leave everything to attend to the outside. Perhaps at times he would be having one of her daughters maybe breastfeeding, but because she was also a leader in the community, when time comes, she would leave everything. And so we here to pause and remember the resilience of Mama Winnie Mandela. And so in Deborah's character, we are told that she was a brave woman. She was called by God at a time when the Israelites were facing adversities and they were under Canaanites for 20 years under the oppression. And how can then we do not think of Mama if the character of Deborah was such? And therefore, we stood up here today to name a place or a street under her name. But I want to leave this thing to our leadership, that we may remember our fallen heroes and heroines and put monuments and name things about their names. But if we have forgot what they stood up for, and for Mama Winnie was injustice, And so, if injustice and poverty continues to prevail in our country, then we must understand that we have failed our heroes and heroines. Mama was a humanitarian, and Mama led from her heart. She never led from her head. She led from her heart. She was shaped by Sophia and Soweto. She died in Soweto. Mama breathed the poverty of our people. And so, whenever we remember these stalwarts in our history, we must have to think or gauge ourselves. Okokuba, where are we into what they fought for? May God be with us. May God bless us in the name of the Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, Creator of all, we come before your throne in thanksgiving. We thank you for you have gave us yet another chance in life, and we are grateful to claim you as our God. As we gather today, this morning, we remember one of our own and how you have revealed yourself in her life. Today, we ask that your spirit will guide us as from today. Joburg City is faced with so many hardships. We hear if it's not the road collapsing, it's the buildings that are on fire. If there are no gas bursts, it's something else. May all this come to an end as we remember our mama. Siyabulela Thixo. Ngoku nangona phakade. Amen.
Winnie Mandela, Winnie Mandela, Winnie Mandela, akekho fana naye. Winnie Mandela, Mandela, Winnie Mandela, hauna yatana liye, hauna yatana liye na. Long live the spirit of Mama Winnie, long live. Long live the spirit of Mama Winnie, long live. Happy birthday, Mama Winnie, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mama Winnie, happy birthday. Thank you very much to MMC Magwenchu, the fellow co-program director. He has requested me to do acknowledgments. I'm going to start with the family. Her Royal Highness Zaziwe Menewe, David Menewe, Her Royal Highness Zamaswazi Dlamini Mandela, Her Royal Highness Zozuko Dlamini, Royal Highness Tumbumuzi Dlamini, Royal Highness Zamankosi Nana Aba Foriwa Obiri, Zipokazi Menewe, Zenkosi Menewe, Michelle Dlamini, Tami Xaba, and Zanele Xaba. I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the special guests of the family, the First Lady, Umamu Ramaphosa, and our Second Lady of the country, Umamu Mashadile. The family has also requested that we acknowledge all guests, especially coming from the high office of government. I will start with the Speaker of Council, Councillor Colleen Makubela, the Chief Whip of Council, Councillor Zungu, the host executive mayor, Cllr Kabelo Gwamanda, who is with his members of the mayoral committee, the MMC for transport, Kenny Kunene, the MMC for housing, Anthea Leach, the MMC for public safety, Ngcini Chwaku. Then we also have my colleague, MMC Magwenju. We also have the provincial leadership of government, led by the Premier of Gauteng, Honorable Panyaza Lusufi, together with his MECs. We have the MEC for sports, Me Murakana, the MEC for health, Me Nomantu Ralihuku, the MEC for economic development, Tasnim Mutara, the MEC for community safety, Me Faith Mazibuko. We also have leadership that is represented in the government of local unity in the city of Johannesburg. We have the leadership of COPE, Ntate Terra Likota. We have the leadership of the economic freedom fighters, led by Moshe Koma, who is the provincial secretary. We have the leadership of the Patriotic Alliance, led by the TG and the Deputy President, both Anthea and Kenny. We have the leadership of the African National Congress, led by the Deputy Secretary General, the first DSG, Menomvula Mukunyane. The TG, Me Gwen Ramukhupa. We also have regional leaders in their various capacities. We have the chairperson of the Political Management Committee, who is Sasabona Manganye. We have the secretary of the Political Management Committee, which is Sipetlele Rasirut. Ministers who are our national government. We have Umama Wetu, Umamunkosazana, Dlamini Zuma. We have Umama Wetu, Umamusindiswa Chikunga. We acknowledge guests. Please, protocol, if there are other guests who arrive, kindly bring a note to the program directors so we continue to acknowledge leadership in their various capacity. The Church of Mama Winnie, we cannot not acknowledge, because she believed in the word of the Lord, and that is why today we started with the prayer. We believe that we are blessed to have Mama Winnie's church, and we appreciate your presence. We would like to proceed with the program, and we're going to request the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg. I see other MMCs have also arrived. The MMC for Economic Development, Nomoya Mnisi, has joined us. The executive mayor is going to come and give a message on behalf of the city of Johannesburg as we immortalize Mama Winnie. The chief whip of the provincial legislature, council member Lesego Makubela, you are also acknowledged. Executive Mayor.
Igama lamakhosikazi. Ngalibongwe. Igama lamakhosikazi. Thank you very much. Thank you, program directors. I'd like to extend my gratitude firstly to the family of Mama Winnie Mandela for having blessed South Africa with such a remarkable song. We are gathered here today in our diversity because of what she represented. I would like to acknowledge the First Lady, Dr. Tsepo Ramaphosa, the Second Lady, the Minister of Transport, the Minister of Women, Children with Disabilities, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the Premier of Gauteng, the Honorable Panya Lusufi, members of the Mayoral Committee, the Speaker of Council, Chief Whip, the Head of Administration, the City Manager in the City of Johannesburg, councillors, political parties that are represented in the government of local unit, who is responsible for this event today. I acknowledge you all. Members of the media, residents in the City of Johannesburg, distinguished guests, I welcome you all. We have gathered here today, and what is a significant milestone in our agenda to promote social cohesion and towards building a resilient future within which our past is never forgotten. This is a step towards dismantling the symbols and remnants of oppression and subjugation. My role in this Augustus occasion is very simple, and that is to ensure in practice that we never forget, be it who we are or where we come from. Ladies and gentlemen, due to the generational gap, I do not think I qualify to speak to the life of this remarkable woman, except to acknowledge the fact that she was indeed a God's gift to South Africa, and that we remain eternally grateful for her. However, program directors, allow me to quote words from Mama Winnie herself when she says, "We shall not delve into the finer aspects of our history. All we need to remember is that not one city, not one road, railway line was built without us. We have made our country what it is.
We have dug up, we are still digging up the wealth of our land, the gold, the diamonds, the coal, and surrendered those to whites who own them by virtue of them being white. Fellow residents in the city of Johannesburg, singayisusa nanini na. Those are the words that echo to this very day. A fighting spirit lives on in all of us, in various aspects of our ordinary lives. The determination and sheer will to conquer and prosper by all means necessary. Earlier this year, I delivered a State of the City address, which was titled Understanding Our Past in Rebuilding a Resilient City that is People-Centric. And suffice to say, ladies and gentlemen, that this is exactly what we meant by understanding our past. This symbol marks not just the life of a heroine, but a beacon of hope on which our history was defined. It is, however, in my view, that South Africa was denied an opportunity of the first female president in the African continent. An opportunity that could have united the nation in a cause that is unambiguous, where the redistribution of wealth and land reform is central to service delivery in a form of restitution. Instead, we grapple with cognitive dissonance, all whilst losing the confidence of the nation as a result of legislative limitations and constitutional impediments. Children of the sun, freedom attained with annexes, fine printing, the deprivation of the right to self-determination is on its own a neo-colonial state of affairs and an indictment on the part of our people. Citizens and residents alike, I would like to beg your indulgence as I state without fear of contradiction that as a people, we should never be coerced into downplaying our history and dismissing it as an excuse for the status quo. In simple terms, apartheid did exist, and its legacy still prevalent to date. And therefore, we must never tire in confronting this institutional malevolence, lest we lose the heroine's sacrifice and we allow them to go in vain. We equally have to be cognizant of the presence of class antagonism as an enabler of an imminent threat of our regression back into a minority rule. But this time, it is strategically advanced through democratic processes and so-called moonshot pacts. And just to remind all of us, as we deal with this strange phenomenon of coalition governments in South Africa, this country is the only one in the African continent that continues to have a retrospective regime conduct oversight over the affairs of the state in a form of opposition. And yes, our constitution in its preamble sets the tone and states that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. It is therefore on that premise that siyazibika kuwe mama, that the government of local unity in the city of Johannesburg is an administration that is anchored by a unity of purpose, that is resilient in its approach towards fulfilling its mandate to the residents in the city as a constitutional creature of law and statutes. And whilst we are confronted by a reoccurrence of disasters, as well as disruptions in service delivery due to a historical infrastructure maintenance backlog and financial sabotage orchestrated by the then multi-party coalition, or Moonshot Pact, we, as the majority in the Johannesburg Metropolitan Municipality, will endeavor in our commitment to manifesting a world-class African city that we can all be proud of. Ladies and gentlemen, as a child from Soweto, who was born at the height of instability and a transitional period in our country, it is both a privilege and an honor that I stand here today as the executive mayor of this historic city to commemorate this firebrand, Mama Winnie Mandela, who dedicated her adult life in pursuit of democracy and freedom that we enjoy today, who also stood steadfast in championing the struggle of young people in our country. And being the youngest executive mayor to be trusted with this responsibility of steering the ship, I can boldly say that I have the pleasure of representing Mama Winnie's envisioned goal. On this day, the 26th of September, 2023, Mama Winnie Mandela would have been celebrating her 87th birthday. And with that having been said, on behalf of the City of Johannesburg, its executive, and all the residents, we would like to say happy birthday, Mama Matikizela Mandela. May the undying spirit of Mama Winnie live on in all of us. I thank you.
Amandla, Amandla. Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. May I be allowed to proceed and acknowledge the President of Al Jamaa, President Ghaniet Hendricks, as well as the leadership of the African Independent Congress and the PAC, who are also part of the Government of Local Unity, the MMC for Environment and Infrastructure, Jack Squaila, the Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, Nokuthula Kaba. You would remember Mama Winnie was a leader of the ANC Women League. She was a president of the Women's League. SG, you are acknowledged. The president of the ANC Youth League, Colin Malachi. The EFF Student Command, Sihle Lonzi. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge all minority parties present. I have not seen all of them, but we acknowledge all the minority parties in the Government of Local Unity. I would like to take this opportunity to request the Premier of Gauteng, Utatu Panyaza Lisufi, to come and address us, Masisa.
Thank you so much, Program Director, Program Directors. Let me acknowledge and appreciate the family of our beloved Mama, Mama Winnie Mandela. Let me acknowledge the Executive Mayor and all members of the Mayoral Committee. I want to acknowledge the leadership of the church and all traditional leaders that are present here. Let me appreciate the presence of our First Lady and our Second Lady, together with all ministers that are coming from national government. I also want to acknowledge the MECs and members of the legislature that are here. I want to acknowledge and appreciate all political parties that are present, and also thank all members of NGOs and other organs of civil society, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. If we think it's about the road, we are all mistaken. It's about us cementing a name that symbolizes our pain and suffering. This street is not about Winnie Mandela Mandela. This street is about all of us. She's just a symbol of who we are and where we come from. If we had a choice, this street will carry all the names of our leaders, especially women who led our struggle. I speak about Nokukanya Lituli, I speak about Ledambuli, Miriam Makeba, Albertina Sisulu, Betha Kowa, Auntie Sophie Brain, Amina Kashalia, Helen Joseph, Charlotte Makleke, Aida Mtoana, Lillian Masidi Bangoi, and many other women. Everyone is allowed to claim her because Winnie belongs to all of us. Our enemies are also allowed to insult us. Actually, her entire life, insult turned her to be vulgar-proof. In her own words, she said, and I quote, "I'm the product of the masses of our country and the product of my enemies," end quote. Mama Winnie was a shield to all of us. Mama Winnie was our savior. She chose us when we were supposed to choose her. She led us when leadership was scared to lead us. She's a symbol of bravery. She knew the battle trenches. She stood for freedom. Even those that hated our freedom enjoyed the same freedom. To name this street after her doesn't mean we hate other leaders or we don't recognize them. But Mama Winnie was too special, and her teachings deserve our support and the naming of this street. As we move closer to the naming of this street, let's do so by learning from our past renaming experiences. If we rename a hospital after Chris Hani, its services must truly represent Chris Hani. If we rename an airport after Oliver Tambo, nothing must be faulty about that airport, as Oliver Tambo was never faulty to us. This road, like any other road, must be under our care and must be the way we want other roads to be. It is us that chose this street. Let us not leave it to be a street that will embarrass us in the future. Mama, you might be gone, but you are forever in our thoughts. Mama, you might not be with us, but today, our children's children will know that you are with us, not only today or tomorrow, but forever. Unlike those that have hated us, unlike those that were forgiven, even in your ceremony, they chose to be absent, believing that our reconciliation is forever. We can pull it back anytime we need to. As we bid farewell to those that have names that didn't represent us, as we welcome your beautiful name, we are proud that we did it. I want to thank the government of local unity. We might go through difficulties. We might have our doubts. We might have our limitations. Unity is the future. It's only when we combine our thoughts, our ideas, and our work that we can honor leaders like Winnie Mandela Mandela. We might differ. We might come from different political parties, but Winnie Mandela represents all of us. Mama, we love you. Betrayal to our total emancipation of our nation is not an option. As we raise your name today, be assured you will live forever and will love you forever. Thank you so much.
Long live the spirit of Mama Winnie Mandela. Long live. igama lamakhosikazi malibongwe. Malibongwe, 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 malibongwe. Amakhosikazi malibongwe. Long live the spirit of Winnie Mandela. Long live. We now call upon the Honorable Minister of Transport, Mama Usinisiwe Chukunga, to come on stage.
Salabapa nasinkumbu la isipamu salabapa zisinkumbu isipamu salabapa zisinkumbuza isipamu salabapa zisinkumbu malibongwe igama lamakhosikazi. Long live the spirit of Mama Winnie Mandela. Long live. Long live the revolutionary spirit of Mama Winnie Mandela. Long live. Malibongwe amandla awethu amandla awethu. Thank you very much, Program Director, for the opportunity. I want to acknowledge the presence of our First Lady and the Second Lady. Acknowledge the presence of the leadership from the province, national, from the metro. Also the leadership from the African National Congress. Also the leadership from other parties that are here and have joined us. Yes. Last night, yes. Last night, yesterday, we lost Zoleka Mandela, the daughter of Ma Winnie Mandela. For us, as the Department of Transport, Zoleka was our road safety ambassador. She championed the 2011-2020 decade of action for road safety. She also championed the 2021-2030 decade of action for road safety. We therefore have lost an ambassador as the Department of Transport, and we mourn with the family, but also we mourn with all those that have lost their loved ones on the roads through road accidents, even this past weekend. I just want again to confirm and to affirm our support for the naming of this road after the stalwart. In that regard, I want to acknowledge the presence of Ma Winnie Mandela's family amongst us here. It is worth and it is this hero. May Winnie Mandela was just one of those people that we looked after during the most difficult times of apartheid oppression. She lived a life of other people than to focus on her life. She lived for us. She wanted to see this South Africa being liberated. At the most difficult time, she's one of the people who said, the people shall govern. This happened in 1955 when the oppressor was very strong. This happened again in 1956 when there was the march to the Union Building and women were marching to the Union Building, saying to the most difficult and most strong government, saying, you are not going to call us dumb people. We are not dumb. We are human beings. She's one of the people who paved the way, saying we too are South Africans and have a right to live in this country and to contribute and to benefit and to share the wealth of the country. We therefore are here to say, indeed, it is correct to name this road. It forms part of the 159,000 kilometers of the paved road that we have in South Africa. That puts us at number 19 in the world in terms of the length of our paved roads. It forms part of the roads of South Africa that actually make us to have 750,000 kilometers of the total road network in South Africa. That puts us at number 11 in the world in terms of the length of our roads. We are able to know this in South Africa because our roads are proclaimed. Unlike many other countries that may even be better than us, our roads are proclaimed. If you look at the world, the countries that are above South Africa in terms of the length of their roads, you're going to have your US's, your China, your Brazil, your whatever. All of them are above us. But we come as the first in Africa at number 11 as in terms of the length of our roads. And this is because our roads are proclaimed. We know, we name them as South Africa. And therefore, this road again is going to be named in terms of government, in terms of gazetting. It is going to be named and known as Winnie Mandela Drive. And we celebrate, we are happy about that. So it's not just about naming. It's not just something it's going to go to legal documents. It's going to be gazetted so that whoever will come, if they want to change the name at whatever time, if that can happen, as a matter of fact, it's not going to happen. They will have to undergo a legal process as we have done here today. We therefore are coming here to celebrate yet another milestone in the history of South Africa. We've come to again make history by naming this road after a woman, a powerful woman, a struggle hero, one of those women that we hold high in South Africa. The name of Winnie Mandela will live and live forever. And it is important that it starts with us. It begins with us telling our children, those who want to ukuthi sisuse ingqondo zethu, they tell us that we must no longer talk about our history. We cannot not talk about ourselves. I'm a product of apartheid. I'm a product of Bantu education. And whoever says I must not talk about Bantu education is saying I must not talk about myself. I must not tell people that when I grow up, there was no school built for me. I went to the church because there was no school. And they say we must not tell our children. I say here today, Because we remember this woman, let's go back to our families and tell them as to who Winnie Mandela is and what she stands for and why we are here today. And that this democracy did not come on a silver platter. It came out of blood and sweat, out of women such as Winnie Mandela. And we can't take it for granted today. The enemy has not given up. We must never forget that. The enemy knows what it did in the past, and it is never going to give up. And therefore, we are here as part of department to say we celebrate the renaming of this road and we support it. Amandla.
Wathinta imbokodo, wathinta imbokodo, wathinta imbokodo. Bopha Kobet, bopha. Um, Honorable Chukunga, we really appreciate the commitment that you've made with regards to gazetting the renaming of the entire street. I know for a fact that women do not make political rhetorics. I know for a fact that when a woman makes a commitment, it's a commitment that she will ensure that it happens. As I stand here, I'm sure that this thing is going to happen as in yesterday. We really appreciate to have leaders like you who we see that they are definitely following in the right steps of the mother of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for me to call upon those who will be representing isizwe samangutyana nesizwe sozondwa omadiba to come and give a message that will be His Royal Highness, or I mean Her Royal Highness uSamakhosi Nana Abafori Obiri and Zipokazi Manaway.
The Honorable Dr. Tepo Motsepe, First Lady of South Africa, the Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Kabelo Gwamanda, Honorable Panyazale Sufi, Honorable Sindiswe Chikunga, First Deputy Secretary General of the African National Congress, Nomvula Mokwenyane, His Royal Highness Prince Tumbumuzi Dlamini, Her Royal Highnesses Princess Zaziwe Manoe and Princess Zamaswazi Dlamini Mandela, His Royal Highness Prince Zozuko Dlamini, the Mandikizela Mandela family, honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning. My name is Zamakosi Nana Aba Fariwa Obiri. My cousins Zibokazi Manue and Zenkosi Manue. I stand here today to express the heartfelt sentiments of my family as we mark what would have been my great grandmother's 87th birthday. We are deeply humbled and honored that the City of Johannesburg have seen it fit to honor my great grandmother, the late Winnie Mandela Mandela, fondly known as the Mother of the Nation, and to us, the family, as Big Mommy. As we are aware, our great grandmother became not only a symbol, but also a lasting and enduring flame of what the essence and meaning of our liberation struggle was about. To me, she was Big Mommy, the woman who was always there for me when I needed her, and a great source of laughter and comfort. She would always show up for me, especially on Grandparents' Day at school. I miss her every day, and I'm so proud to stand here and be part of ensuring that her legacy will live on for generations. Her name will be known to all who may have not been exposed to the painful history that my family has endured. She never, unlike many, lost sight of what the aim of the struggle was about, and in the process, never wavered from her responsibilities, duties, and commitments to serve and represent her people. This steadfast commitment was never more evident by the fact that she refused to leave Soweto, wanting always to be close and accessible to her people. Though freedom was obtained, she recognized that her people still lived in economic poverty, which denied them the very freedoms she and other women selflessly sacrificed so much to obtain. The renaming of William Nicol Drive to Winnie Mandela Drive clearly demonstrates the esteem the people of the city of Johannesburg have for her and the role she played in liberating South Africa from the shackles of apartheid. This tribute clearly demonstrates South Africa's commitment and intent to ensuring that her name does not blast into historical oblivion.
Winnie Madikizela Mandela was an 11-year-old child in the Transkei when plans began for the original road, first named P79/1, that today stretches for 4 kilometers from Hyde Park all the way to the Western Bypass. It was the year before the National Party became the governing party of South Africa and instituted the official policy of apartheid, which my great-grandmother grew up to fight, especially once she had made her home here in Johannesburg. From 1953, this city was always her home, even in the bleak years from 1977 to 1985, when she was forced by the apartheid regime to live in the Free State town of Bryansfort. It is a road that Big Mommy traveled often in the course of her life, and it is the road I traveled daily to and from school. But most